What is the essence of business? The offer, very good, the offer. And the offer becomes bigger when you increase what they get and you decrease what they pay. You remember that? Let's go back just to make sure. I hope we have it still somewhere. Yeah. So, an offer is what I give divided by, what I get divided by what I give. That's from the eyes of the client. If you're from the eyes of the seller, then what you get and what you give. That's what you tell to your client, right? So if we want to make the offer better, this needs to be bigger, this needs to be smaller, right? If you do both of them, you're giving them a great deal or great offer. Does that make sense? Okay. What we want to have is not just an offer. I prefer that you will have more than even a great offer. I would like you to create a irresistible offer. Okay, irresistible offer. Now, we're doing that all the time. I actually refuse to get out anything that is not irresistible. To remind you, irresistible means that if the person doesn't take it, he's going home and feeling like shit. You know, I must be stupid not to take it, or I missed an opportunity. Okay, that's the feeling that you want to create for them. You want to make sure when it comes to irresistible offer, you want to make sure that it's so easy to say yes and so difficult to say no. Does that make sense? Most of us are not doing it. Okay, most entrepreneurs don't do it. They make their offers that it's very, very easy to say no, or maybe, or tomorrow, or one day, and very, very, very easy to say no. Very difficult to say yes, very easy to say no. That needs to change. Now, irresistible offer, there are many types of irresistible offer. We are using a template that works for us. And I'm going to share with you our template for irresistible offer. Now, I just want to check by show of hand, because in the past, we taught the template, we taught it in a different training, and it might be that some of you heard about it. I just want to check by show of hand, how many of you heard or saw the irresistible offer template? Okay, okay, we have about 10 of you, 12 of you. All right, from those of you that raised their hand just right now, how many of you are actually using it in your business? Wonderful, so we have 4, 5, 6. It works for you? Yes? Good. Now, what we're going to make sure with all of you, including those that heard it before, what we're going to make sure is that tonight you will understand it. When you go home, you will understand it. You will have all the stages. What you're going to do when you go home is you're actually going to write your irresistible offer for one of your products or services, and what you're going to do tomorrow is you're actually going to offer it. You're going to practice offer it to live audience, and you'll need to get them to run to the back. Okay? So you'll have a chance to actually practice that. You're probably not going to get paid for that or going to get money, because those are people in this group, so they're not necessarily your target audience, but your job will be to get them excited enough so they will go and say yes, and they will actually physically run to the back. Okay, so you'll feel the feeling. Okay, and this is something that we teach mainly in the Train the Trainer. Almost every speaker, every presenter, their dream is to get a standing ovation. Okay, right? It's to give a training or a presentation, and after that, everybody is jumping off their seat and give them a running standing ovation. I think this is the most pathetic thing can be. I couldn't care less of a standing ovation. What I want is a running ovation. Okay, and you also a running ovation, at least in open circles, right? Okay, and that's what you want. Okay, that's what you want, and that's what happens when you create an irresistible offer. Not in every irresistible offer, okay? Not always you have the audience for that, but the point is that people want to take it, and they want to take it now, and they will do whatever it takes to get there. Okay, sometimes the team gets a little bit scared when 250 people are running to them, and they say, whoa, okay? It can be a little scary, especially when people start pushing and stuff like that. Now, I didn't invent that, okay? I didn't invent this template, okay? I modeled people that were doing it for years, and I just found out what are the 13 things you need to have in an offer, the 13 points or the 13 parts that you have to have in an offer in order to get people at the end to say, yes, I want it and I want it now. Where do I pay? Where do I sign? Okay, that's what we want to create. And I call it a template because that's what it is. It's a template. It's fill in the blank. I will tell you what each part needs to have. I'm going to explain it a little bit. It's not very difficult. I'm going to explain why it's important to do it in the right order and what you can play with and what you can't. I'm going to give you maybe a few examples from what we're doing or how we're doing it, because you saw us doing Irresistible offer in different places, so I can relate. You can relate to that. And as much as the time permits, I will let you do it here to start writing the points, not the whole offer, but the points, so you will go home with something. And if we have time, then the group will help you a little bit, and if not, then you're just sitting next to each other instead of facing me. Okay? The plan was that you will have a little bit of time. I don't want to send you again too late tonight, because tonight you have work to do. Okay, so more important for me that you get the information. So let's start. First of all, I call it, okay, the name that I'm using for it is the universal, okay, the universal irresistible offer template. Universal to say not that it's the universe, but that it fits for everything. Okay? Some people sometimes say, yeah, but would it fit in my business? Would it fit with my service? Would it fit with my target audience? The answers to those three and any other questions that are in that series is yes. Now, it might not be clear at the beginning, and that's where I'm expecting you to at least, put your brain into gear and start thinking. I cannot write the irresistible offer for you. Well, I can, but I won't do that. And you will not be able to afford that. But you can do that yourself, and if you need to figure out how, then that's what you need to do tonight instead of sleeping. Or not. It's your business. Any way that works for you. Okay, so I found that this irresistible offer works everywhere. It works live, and you all saw that works for us live. It works on a video. It works in an ad. It works in text, like a web page. It works in a webinar. It's very hard to create an irresistible offer on a Facebook ad when you have like 6 or 8 words that you can use, but you still can create an irresistible offer, for example, for an opt-in. So you might not be able to sell 4,000 euros product on Facebook ad, but you can still create, but that template will not fit. You still need some space for that, but everything else, it will work for that. It will work for that. Telemarketing script, absolutely. Okay, for somebody that asked about the phone before, I can't remember. So that works very much. So I'm going to give you the 13 stages. We're going to go one by one. I'm going to give you the title. That's what you need to fill in. That's the blank. I'm going to give you some explanations. So if you want to write some of the explanations, that's good. If not, just remember them. If we have time, or maybe some of the things, I'll tell you, take a minute to write a point, and then we continue. So the first thing, you're trying to sell something to somebody. So before everything, you need to define to present the benefits. No, before. The problem, thank you very much. First one, if we're talking about 13 steps or 13 blocks, the first one is the problem. What's the problem that you're trying to actually solve? What was the first sentence that I said yesterday in the crowdfunding campaign video? Right, that's exactly. Right now, there is a girl in Nepal, maybe 6, maybe 9, maybe 11 years old, that her parents are selling her for money. It's a problem. I don't have to say, hey, there is a problem. It's enough to say one sentence, and the problem is clear. Does that make sense? You can use one sentence, you can use a whole page, you can use 5 minutes of a video if you need that and if you have the space, but you don't have to. The point is that you need to be able to define the problem. Usually it doesn't need to take more than 6 or 7 words, but you can use more than that if you have the space for that. For the example of open circles, if I want to bring people into the business bootcamp, the problem will be that most ZZ payers are overworked and underpaid. 6 words. Right? Would you agree that before you came to the business bootcamp, that would define pretty well at least one of your problems? Yes? Yes? No, guys? Yes. Okay, that's all. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy to define it, but if you're an expert and if you know what your problem, what your target market is and what they deal with, then your job is to be able to find a way to create one sentence that will describe the problem. That's important. And if it takes you an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 3 days, I don't care. This is what you need to do. You need to define the problem. Somebody said that yesterday when I asked you why you joined the business bootcamp, what was the trigger? And somebody says, you defined my problem so clear. I don't remember. You remember that and you remember that I said this is important because an expert will be able to define your problems better than you can. And then you immediately feel that they know what they're talking about. Okay? So this is your job. Now, in that part of the problem, what you want to do is to push the pain buttons as much as you can. You don't create pain, but you want to bring the pain up to the surface. Yeah? You don't invent pain, you don't push a needle in them, but you make sure that you find the pain button, which in every problem there is a pain button, and you want to push it. And you want to push it hard. Okay? Emotions needs to come out for people. So that's why I used yesterday what I use. Right now, there is a girl, and I used her age. This is a pain button. Okay? Although anybody that's being sold for a slave should be a problem. But a girl of 6 years old or 9, you understand? It's pushing. Okay? It's pushing. So you need to push the pain button. And when it's really, really painful, this is important. This stage is not just the problem. When it's really painful, when you can communicate it in a way that people see and feel the pain, then you want to offer them basically you tell them there is a solution. I understand that it's painful. I mean, if I would stay with the fact that every ZZ payer or most ZZ payers are overworked and underpaid, and I will go and I will describe that. I actually do that. If you remember my first introduction of myself in the business bootcamp, I will tell about the times in my life when I was struggling, and I will tell about the times that I didn't know if I can pay the rent. I tell about the worries, and I will tell about the fact that although my office was at home, and my daughter was playing at home, I wasn't there for her the way that I maybe should have. Okay, and that's the reason why I'm mentioning it. It's not because it was such a big deal, because the truth, it wasn't that big deal, but many people can relate to that. So I took that and I mentioned it a little bit stronger, because for many people, especially, I don't know if it's even especially women, but when we work at home and the kids play around and we tell them, Daddy or Mommy doesn't have time right now because we're working. When you do it too much time, we start feeling guilty. And I'm pushing the buttons of the guilt because we all have it. It's not that I'm inventing that. It's not telling you have to be guilty. I'm just using it because it's there and I'm bringing it up. But the point is not to stay there and to say, it's okay. You don't know any better, but it doesn't mean that it has to stay this way. There is a solution. Does that make sense? So you're describing the problem, you push the pain button, and at one point you need to go and say, but there is a solution. And of course the solution is your solution. Is that clear? Yes. That's the first point. Okay? That's the first point. I'm going to do it this way, guys, just because I don't want you to miss anything. I'm going to go through the 13 stages. We'll see how long it's going to take. If I say there's time, I'm going to go back to the important ones, and this is the important one, and I'll ask you to do that here and maybe share it with your group. If you won't have time, then, well, you get the feedback tomorrow when you're going to do the actual presentation. Okay, but I'm a little cautious that we run out of time for the stages, and that's more important for me. So just understand that. I hopefully will come back to that, otherwise it will be tomorrow. So let me give you an example how I would do that. And I would do that maybe when I want to sell the Master Entrepreneur after the business bootcamp. I would say something like, unfortunately, most of you are overworked and underpaid. But that's not the problem. That is really not the problem. You might think that is your problem today, but the problem is that if you don't do something different, if you want to change that, it's not just you're going to keep on working too hard, you're going to keep getting paid too little, but the price that you're going to pay will start trickling down to your family. You will have less and less time with your kids. And you know what? Kids grow. And you know what? They grow really fast. And you will look back at this period and you will be sorry that you didn't do anything different. Is that painful? Okay? Okay, and maybe most of you already got out of that, but imagine the times that you came to the business bootcamp. So I will keep that for a few more sentences. And by the way, it's not something that you'd never thought about it before. You probably thought about it. I'm just bringing it up to make sure that you're aware of it right now before I'm telling you, hey, but there's a solution. The reason we're doing it, it's not to manipulate. You need to understand. Sometimes people are saying, oh, that's a manipulation. It's not that. The purpose is not to manipulate. The purpose is to get you to take action. You remember, my influence is the ability to get people to take action on your call to action, right? To do something with your call to action. So if there is not enough pain, there is no reason for people to go for it. Does that make sense? Yes. You understand? Yes. So you need to bring that pain because pain is a motivator. It doesn't have to. 10% of the businesses in the world are not working on solving problems. Okay? They are not. Disney World is not really solving a problem. But it's not true, by the way. Disney World does solve the problem, and I can get into that a little bit later. But for most people, in their eyes, it's a pleasure thing. And that's okay. If that's what your business is, you can go, but it's much harder to sell. It's much harder to sell something that is giving pleasure. It's much easier to solve a problem, something that is painful. Okay, that's why, for example, prevention, how many of you are in the prevention business, either health or business, whatever it is, you're in prevention, okay? It's really hard. Really, really hard with prevention. I mean, I know that I need to go to the dentist twice a year and, do the cleanup of the teeth and do a checkup. But that's prevention. If it costs me money, time, effort, whatever it is that it costs me, it's low on my priority. Would you agree? Yes. And I'm not the only one, I guess, right? Yes. Okay? But what happens if in the middle of the night, you're suddenly feel your teeth or tooth or whatever it is, and it's really becoming painful? I mean, you would do anything, and you will pay anything to get the pain go away. Would you agree? Yes. Okay? So prevention is a little bit on the business of giving pleasure in a sense of it's not really a necessity, while avoiding pain, or not avoiding pain, solving a pain is much more of a necessity. So going back to Disneyland, just to make you aware of that, Disneyland actually does solve a problem, and that's the way that they're communicating, especially in the country that Disneyland, Disney World, whatever it is, are working, is that they're solving a problem for parents during what to do with their kids or what to give their kids or what to do with their kids. And they solve it by saying, we are the best place for that, basically. We're the happiest place on earth, and they will work on that. And they work it much more subliminal than, pushing parents, vacation is coming, and you don't want the kids running around, 24 hours a day, begging, nagging and begging, whatever it is. You want to have something for them that they really want. But they will do that. Okay? There's a lot of products that we don't realize, but they are solving pain like crazy. My favorite example was for that always the SMS. I mean, I don't know if you know the story of SMS, but SMS, the messages, SMS was a technical thing in the old days that the phone company used to send it once every night, in the middle of the night, to clean up the cache of the telephones. So you would send a string of characters that the phones will recognize and then clean up the memory, because otherwise the memory would be filled up. I don't exactly know. I mean, I'm sure that some IT people can say that what I said was bullshit, but it's the principle of what it was. And suddenly the geeks started to use that as a kind of funny way to communicate with each other. And at one point it caught very, very, very well in the days before social media. And it's amazing. Most people don't realize that, but it solves an amazing, or used to solve an amazing pain. What was the pain? Loneliness. Today there is another product that does it. It's called Facebook. Okay? We think, Facebook, it's something to connect with people and it's fun. No. It solves loneliness. It solves the pain. But they don't push it this way. But that's what it does. Let's move on. Let's keep on doing that here. So remember, you describe the problem, you push the button, then you tell them, but there is a solution. And then you say the name of the solution. And the name of the solution if you come to the Master Entrepreneur, we can solve that. Or whatever it is that you have a solution for that. Okay, so as soon as you did that problem and a solution, we move to next step. And the next step is something that people don't do that the way that I would like you to do that, and that's describing the main benefits. Main benefits. First of all, the word benefit. What does it mean? What is a benefit? It's how my solution is going to make it better in your life. Okay? The fact that this is a beautiful red is not a benefit. It's a feature. The fact that this pen can write for 10,000 kilometers straight is not a benefit. It's a feature. The fact that this pen is very thick, it's not a feature. It's not a benefit, sorry. It's a feature. Okay? So I don't care about the feature. It's not that the features are not important, but nobody buys because of features. And all of you, I'm willing to bet on that. If I will look at your website and saying, why do you recommend people to take whatever you're doing, the list of bullet points that you will have there will be mainly features. You will tell them about the length of the traject and how many hours, and that you're doing that with goats or with chickens, whatever it is that you're doing, and that's what it includes. All those are features. Okay, all those are features. People don't buy anything because of features. They need the features, but they buy because of benefits. Why do we need the features? To explain to our wife, husband, boss, whoever it is that, another decision maker. We need to explain, why did we buy that? Oh, you don't understand, the car is very fast, very safe. No, it's red. And it's sexy. And, girls will look. Okay? All the rest are features. So it's not that features are not important, but they're not important here. It's too early. First you need to sell it, then they need to rationalize it. So that comes later, so first benefit. So the benefit of this, the fact that this pen can write for 10,000 kilometers, or whatever it is, is that you'll never, ever need to stand in front of a group as a trainer, because this is a trainer pen. I don't know if you realize that. It's a trainer pen. We teach you a lot about this when you come to train the trainer. So when you're standing in front of a group, you will never, it's like you'll never run out of words, right? You'll never get blocked. You'll never get a writer's block. Nothing would stop you from being the star. That's the benefit, okay? This pen will make you the star. You will never stop being the star because this pen will write for 10,000 kilometers. But the benefit is first. Does that make sense? The fact that this pen is thick, most people say the benefit is that people can see that from far away. And the truth is that it's not. It's the thing is that the thicker the pen, the better the trainer. So you want the thickest pen. It's a little phallic symbol. At least I believe. Anyway. I will not work with a thinner pen than this. This is actually 800. I like 1,000 or 1,200, I prefer. This is the millimeters of that. And this is important. It's in everything. I mean, I'll give you an example that came up a couple of years ago. I saw that in an advertisement. It made me laugh. I think the first car to come to, I think it was Lexus, that came first into the market, at least that I was aware of, that the car parked itself. Yeah, you would stand parallel to traffic where there's a hole, and you will kind of show them in the camera where the hole is, and then you just leave it, and the car is steering itself and doing that perfectly. It sits there, right? So they came up with the first car that parked itself. Is that a feature or a benefit? It's a feature. It's a feature. It's a feature. Okay, what is a benefit? No, those of you that heard that for me, please don't jump into that because let other people think. There's no more dents. You don't have to, you don't have to be worried about, having dents in the car, whatever it is. Those are benefits. Those are not the big benefits. And when you understand your target audience, then the benefits become very, very clear. But you really need to understand them. Did anybody ever try to park a car in reverse when it was tight and there was a lot of traffic in the street? Anybody tried that? Anybody got a little sweaty, tensed, nervous, feeling stupid? Then you try it and it doesn't work, so you go again, and people are, and if it's, and somebody comes and say, oh, it must be a woman. You're with a mustache, that's even worse. If you're a woman, you're insulted because of that. If you're with a mustache, you're insulted twice for that, right? So the actual benefit is that you will never, ever feel stupid again when trying to park in reverse. All right, I'm going to buy a Lexus for that, just because I will not feel stupid anymore. So that's a benefit. It's actually a benefit of the benefit, which is a little bit more advanced than what I want to teach you right now. You want to focus on the benefits, and you want to focus on the 3 maximum main benefits. You don't want to give them 16 like some of you are doing it. Nobody can remember. Humans are not able to remember more than 3 points at a time. So when you're giving them 7 points, they remember the first, usually the second, and the last one. Anything in between is gone. Okay, so my suggestion, 3 benefits. If you really want to put more benefits than that, then make sure that the important ones are the first, the second, and the last, because they won't remember the rest. So don't put big benefit as a third, because they can't remember that unless you have 3. Is that clear? So you want to put a couple of benefits there. And remember, the benefit is not what they're going to get there. Okay? So if I'm going to talk about the master entrepreneur, there's not really point for me to say to you that what you will learn there is the ultimate marketing strategy, or that you will learn how to put prices the right way. Okay? Because it's not really a benefit. This is a feature. I'm not saying that I'm not going to say that, but it's going to be later in what we call the practicalities or the features. But here I would like to tell you what is the biggest benefit. Okay? And there are only two biggest benefits for the master entrepreneur. And we said up front all the time. What are the 2 benefits of the master entrepreneur? Double your income, double your time. Which is solving an interesting problem, which is called overworked and overpaid. Double your time will lower the amount of work that you're doing. Okay? Double your income, that solves the underpaid. Okay? So when you know what your problem is, when you know what your target audience, you can find what the benefits are, and you communicate those and those only. By the way, double your income, double your free time is not the benefit of the benefit. It's still only a benefit. Because, okay, so I have more time or I have more money, but I would go into more details. And I would go to something like, imagine that instead of working 14 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, imagine that you only have to work 4 hours a day for 4 days a week. Imagine what you can do with all the time, with your kids, with your family, with your partner, with your loved one. Imagine what it will be for you to have some time to spend on what is important for you. Now, this I can only do because you're 1,000 people. But imagine that it was one person or one company. I will not keep it general. I will actually use the name of your kid. Imagine what it will mean for you to spend more time with little Johnny. I mean, where would you go? If you could have every day 2 more hours to spend with little Johnny, what would you do with them? They will figure out the benefits themselves. Okay? Imagine what would happen if you will come to the Master Entrepreneur and instead of struggling every day to make a living, pay the rent, you will find a way so you can earn 2 or 3 times what you're making today. And that extra money, if it's important for you, buy a car. But imagine what it means to send Johnny to the private school that will make a difference in their life. And again, if you're doing one-on-one or you have small groups, it's much easier to know what exactly for them is important. I have a problem. I can really say to 1,000 people, some of them have kids, some of them don't have kids, some of them really love sports cars, some of them couldn't care less. So I need to be a little bit more general in that, but when you know your target audience, and not just your target audience, but your person, in marketing you have to talk to more. In sales you can talk more one-on-one. And by the way, it's the same for business to business, right? Okay, a business wants benefits also. That's why when you're coming to a business and says, as a result of my coaching or my consulting or whatever it is, your employees will feel more happy, you bore them to death. Most businesses couldn't care less. No, it's not that they don't care, but it's nowhere close to the first priority. That's why they are a business. Okay? So the first priority is what? No. Effective and productive is a feature. Is how do I get to what? To a better, promoted, that's not for a business. Promoted, that's for a person in a business. That's very important. But I'm talking about a business. Bottom line. I don't care what you're doing. It needs to come to the bottom line. And by the way, bottom line is different for different businesses. Bottom line can be profits, bottom line can be impact, bottom line can be a little bit different. But trust me, it's never how much happy their employees are. Oh, I'm going to paint your offices with green and pink flowers because it will make your employees happy. You can do employee satisfaction surveys after that, and they will be 10%, 20%, 50% happier. Yes. That might be very, very interesting to the HR manager. Very interesting. But how they are going to sell it to a CEO? Or to the board of directors, or to the shareholders? They can't. So you need to figure out what is the benefit for the company because you're painting the walls in green with pink flowers. And you need to be creative with that. And it's not creativity in the sense of art. You need to find out what is really important for them. And different companies are different. There are companies that wants to look like the most, because that will get them better result, is they want to look like the most progressive company in the world. So you tell them, listen, we're going to paint it green, put pink, it will increase and we're going to make a campaign out of it. Everyone will know that you're the best company in the world to work for. And because that will increase your profits. Okay? But at the end, that's what they want. Does that make sense? Yes.